How did you learn to ride a motorcycle?
It's kind of a two-part answer. I originally bought a crotch rocket, was my first bike. It was an Ninja ZX6R.
Uh huh.
And my first time officially riding it after I got my motorcycle permit was on the interstate. And honestly, I was doing like 60 miles an hour behind a tractor trailer because I had never really ridden a motorcycle before.
Wait. So
Um,
you bought a bike, you
yep,
just got on it, and you just rode it.
I knew how to ride I know how to drive a stick shift, so I
Yeah.
knew the concept of the shifting and gears and stuff. Made a couple laps around the parking lot just to get used to the levers, and it was a 50-mile ride home.
Okay. So that's not bad.
So it was kind of just getting thrown into the wolves thing. Um, Rode it around town a little bit, but I actually did wind up going and taking one of the motorcycle safety courses.
Okay. After you already got home and all that,
Yeah,
you went and took a okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that's
after I already got home and everything was all rode around. The
that's an
safety course was more for just getting.
interesting way to learn is just to buy a bike, your first bike, get on it and ride it
Yeah,
home to 50 miles.
like it was on the interstate, and I won't lie to anyone. I was seriously got behind a tractor trailer, and I was doing like 60 miles an hour down the interstate because I really wasn't comfortable going fast. I wasn't, didn't
Yeah,
know how the bike would handle. Right, and you can only go as fast as the car in front of you. If I
yeah.
put something slow in front of me, get. I was young. Well, young. I was like 30, but the I knew that I'd be like, oh, I can do this. Next thing I know, I'd be going 140 miles an hour and be splattered all over the interstate. And I didn't want that. I at
Yeah.
least had the common sense to go, I don't need to be doing this. But that's pretty much how I learned to ride a motorcycle was I just threw my leg over it. And, that's, I guess, my interesting story.
What thought process went into getting those two bikes?
Like I said, the original one was the Ninja ZX6R. I'd
Mhm.
actually bought it from a buddy at work. It had kind of a dark history. It has even a darker history, but that's a totally different story.
Let me look up what that bike is so I know I can kind of have a picture in my head.
It's
It,
a 636cc crotch rocket.
yeah, that's a fast bike. What year was that one?
It was a 2003.
2003.
Yeah, it was actually the first year that they came out with the ZX6R.
That's a good looking bike, yeah.
It's a very good looking bike. Um, my buddy had actually wrecked it, wound up going to the hospital, took a chunk out of his skull because he was trying to do wheelies and stuff in the parking lot. So it sat at work. I fixed it up at work. It had a couple broken pegs and stuff, and took it home. The wife went out on it with me once. She didn't like it. She wasn't about the crotch rocket life. So I had originally went to a dealership, and I was looking up. I was getting ready to buy a 2003 Silverado 1600.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
She wanted kind of the cruiser bike. I was like, it had like 35,000 miles on it, but the price was kind of right. So
Let me type that one into 2000.
I think it was the 2003. I think it was the Yamaha Silverado.
I almost thought you were talking about a truck for a second. Yamaha.
It's going to be a lot like your 1800.
The wife wanted to also ride, and you wanted something more comfortable
She
for the both of you, or
mostly for her. I mean, I loved my crotch rocket and I rode it everywhere.
yeah.
Um, but she wanted something more comfortable. She wanted kind of the cruiser styles where she could sit up, have a backrest and stuff. Um, I'd sold a couple things, got money to go buy the bike. When I called them, they said actually someone came in yesterday, put a deposit on it, but we have another bike since we talked to you because I'd already been up there a couple times looking at it.
Hmm.
They said we have this real nice 2006 VTX 1300R. It had 4,296 miles on it. Talked with them a little bit. I said, can you do it for the same price? They're asking 45. They said, what we can do, we'll do it for the 4,000. You got to come up with the taxes and stuff. So I kind of joke and say that I bought my bike for $4,300. I bought it for $1 a mile.
Well,
So,
yeah.
and again, had never really ridden a cruiser in my life. Came from a, fuel injected crotch rocket. So now I have a carbureted, cruiser. Kind of a funny thing was I didn't know how to work the petcock at the dealership, and they were laughing at me because they're like, "Yeah, you just turn it to the on." Well, on the side of them, they're kind of weird. On is off, but again, I'd never ridden a carbureted bike, so we fired it up. It ran for a couple minutes and died, and they're like, "You gotta turn the petcock on." I'm like, "Turn it on reserve," and all. Finally got it working. Finally got used to it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a comfortable bike, man. That is a comfortable bike to
Oh,
ride.
yeah.
Oh my god.
the
I've I don't know. I feel more relaxed and like I enjoy it more than the 1800. The 1800, it feels more stable, but I like when it's going down. It's heavier. It just feels a little more stable going down the freeway. But that 1300, it's just I don't know. You can almost fall asleep on it. So it
Yeah.
just rides so nice.
What kind of seat do you have on it?
It's stock seat, whatever came
Just a
with
stock
it.
seat?
Yeah.
Honest to God, and you'll hear this in a lot of the VTX forums. Go with either a Mustang if you like it a little bit more harder seat, I should say. It's still soft, it's more firm, although not really harder. Or I have the Ultimate Big Boy.
Yeah.
It's like riding like a lazy boy. I get people that are on my bike like, "How do you sit there and do these long distance rides and stuff?" And I go, "It's the seat." They're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Go sit on the bike." They're like, "This is like sitting on a couch." I said, "Yeah."
So you had a stock seat on it before and you switched to this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can definitely tell the difference, right? Like it's like
Oh yes. When I bought it, it had a stock seat. Went on a couple, like 100-mile rides with the wife, and she loves New York City. So in 2016, I bought it in July. In September 2016, we actually rode the bike up to New York City for the weekend.
okay.
And after that is when I got the Ultimate seat, because I got the driver and the passenger seat. Passenger more for her, because the stock seat's only 11 inches wide. The Ultimate aftermarket seat is 14 inches wide.
Uh-huh.
So for her, having that extra padding, it worked better for her. The only reason she went to New York is because she wanted to go to New York.
Yeah.
It was cheap to take the bike, got a hotel room. We were good.
Yeah.
Kind of to elaborate more on it, after that, I wound up getting a compact camp pull behind camper trailer.
Okay.
So I actually put the trailer hitch on the bike and got the camper. And that was my bright idea of, bikers, they all go to Sturgis. That's like, the rite of passage for a bikers, go to Sturgis. So I got a camper and I went to Sturgis, and that really started my long distance traveling.
Sturgis, what is that? I'm not familiar with that.
Sturgis, South Dakota.
Sturgis stuff. Okay, that's a city.
Yeah, Yep, it's one of the world's largest motorcycle rallies.
Oh, okay.
It happens in the beginning of August, and there's just a lot of big bands and stuff go out there. You can go out to Buffalo Trip.
So how long of that was your first long distance?
Is how big it is.
I was cutting out there.
That was pretty much my first long distance. Is I took 4 days and rode out to Sturgis.
It took 4 days to get there, or
2 days out and 2 days back.
2 days out and 2. Okay. And how many hours per day did you ride?
I ride 16 to 18 hours a day.
16 to 18. Okay.
Yep.
That's not bad at all. That's a long time to be in the saddle. Yeah.
And again, it all comes down to the seat.
Yeah.
If you have a comfortable seat. Just another seat name here is those Richard DeLong seats. Very, very good seats. Kind of expensive, but very good seats because they're actually made to you. You have to send in pictures and measurements and everything, and they actually tailor make the seat to your body.
You send them pictures of your butt?
Pretty much, yes. Obviously not just bare ass, but yes, you send them measurements and, you know, pictures of your body and everything.
That's interesting. Well, I think there's the other one is Corbin.
Corbin, yes.
Yeah, yeah. They have one here in California. They say you could write in and they'll make it for you, like while
Mhm.
you wait. That's also, but see that there's all these different seats, and it's hard to know which one's gonna fit you. You don't really know, you know. It's like,
And that's one of the biggest things. Like I said, Mustang, it's a firmer seat. The Ultimate is a little bit softer seat. They're both like a memory foam gel seat.
mm-hmm.
Corbin's kind of the same thing. Saddleman's also another one.
Yeah, Saddleman's heard of those. Yeah, yeah. There's 4 or 5, I think, different ones.
Hmm.
Well, I guess I mean, just a matter of getting one and praying for the best. I don't know, and then
Yeah,
hoping it fits your butt. But I mean, I'm not that unhappy with the stock one. But after 5 hours, I rode it for 5 hours a couple of days ago. Yeah, I mean, I would probably not be able to sit in it for more than 8 for in
yeah.
that particular seat. So, um, okay, Jason, have you ever fallen off a bike?
The crotch rocket, yes. It was within about the first 3 months that I had it. I bought it in the fall. When I started my ride, it was like 45 degrees. When I ended my ride, it was 17. I fell on ice coming around a corner.
Okay, coming around the
That is
corner
the
on a
one
slip.
and only time that I've fallen on a bike because, again, it was due to my inexperience and my stupidity. And learning from that, going, okay, it's cold, it's icy, don't go ride.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, my I had I was like 10 years old. I had a moped. I had a dog run out in front of me, and what, well, when you're that young, you don't even think ahead like what you're supposed to do in that situation. Basically, you just slam on the brake. That's what I
Yeah,
did. Just slam on the brakes, and obviously the front wheel, folded in. And was there any thought process behind it that made you get that cross rocket?
ever since I'd come out of high school, I always wanted a crotch rocket.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I got, it was the right time at the right price, just the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked going fast.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of why I went with the crotch rocket, not like, dual sport or enduro or something.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on it, I mean, I probably would have had fun on an enduro. I actually got a chance to ride an African Twin, and it was a blast.
Those are nice. Yeah.
But it was one of those. It was just the right time, the right place, and I had the cash. He had the bike, and that's kind of why I got the crotch rocket. And a little bit the same with the VTX.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the bike that I was going after, and I literally bought that bike sight unseen.
Mm.
They sent me 4 pictures of it. I'm like, it's a cruiser. At the time I was like, I'm just gonna, ride with the wife with it. And like I said, it had 4,296 miles when I bought it on July 31st of 2016. As it sits now, it has 84,000 miles on it.
84,000. Wow. Okay. So that kind of puts us into the fourth question. So,
Like I said, the first cross country trip, I guess, kind of was the New York City trip. That was like, hey, this is doable, which got me to thinking of, I want to go to Sturgis. And originally, it was like, I'm just going to go there one time. I was there, I get a patch. I'll probably never be back. I've gone every year except except this year. This would have been my 4th year going out.
mm-hmm. So to New York and to Sturgis, what are miles? How many miles are we talking?
It's 800 miles to New York. It's about 1,600 miles to Sturgis.
Wow, 800. So you rode 800 miles with your wife.
One
Okay.
one way.
One way.
And that
Yeah.
was, like I said, that was the very first year we had the bike. I don't even think I had the bike 3 months yet. 2019 is, I guess, what I consider my first cross country trip.
Mm-hmm.
That was a 17-day trip. It was 10,200 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I started here in West Virginia, rode up to Sturgis, actually went up into Canada to visit a app that I use called Tunnit. That's where their like national headquarters is.
And visit an app, so like the app in your phone.
Yes,
Okay.
that's where their headquarters is in Kelowna, British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, and in planning all that, I had done a whole bunch of iron belt rides. And, you know, in my progression of riding, going out on a weekend, some people like, oh, you know, I did 200-300 miles. I'll come back from, you know, 2-3 day weekend. They're like, oh, what, you know, where'd you go? Oh, I went to Key West. Well, what do you mean? I rode down to Key West, rode back home. Like, you know, 4 days for me doing 3,500, 4,000 miles, that's just a normal now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I first started, you know, 200 miles on a bike, and I'm like, how do people do this? It's not something you just get on your bike and go, hey, you know, I live in California. I think I'm going to go to Jacksonville today. You know, it's not something you do that. You definitely build up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and building up and everything, when I went to Kelowna, I was looking on Google Maps because I'm always like, oh, you know, where can I go from here? Hyder, Alaska was like 890 miles away.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that's 2 days for me. That's a day there and a day back. So I went to Alaska. I spent the day in Alaska, went back to Kelowna. They were having a, you know, community appreciation ride and stuff. Hung out with all them. You know, they're like, oh, you know, where are you going from here? I said, like Arizona. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I'm going to continue my hunt for states this year. Left Kelowna, went down through Oregon, Washington, missed California because I was going to go back later on in the year. I was going to go back to Arizona. Went to the Four Corners, came across through Texas, went Oklahoma. 2019, I had personally had my bike in 43 states.
Oof. Man.
The wife went down to Myrtle Beach Bike Week with me. She went up to Laconia Bike Week up in New Hampshire and Maine. We rode around there with some friends. So, but in 2019, I hit every single major motorcycle rally there was.
You're a serious iron butt, man.
I got a couple screws loose.
Those are some good screws you got loose.
Oh yeah. But all that on that VTX 1300, pulling a trailer.
And pulling a trailer. And so you got a camper, and you camp in that trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I went out for my 17 days, I'd spend one night in like a Walmart parking lot and the next night at a truck stop. Mm-hmm. I found that if you roll in at a truck stop at like 1-2 o'clock in the morning, you're nice to them. I always go and ask, you know, hey, you know, I'm on my motorcycle, I got a camper. Can I go in the corner, sleep? They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Mm-hmm. Ask them how much a shower is. In the last 3 years, I've paid for one shower. Mm-hmm. At 3 o'clock in the morning, all these truckers brought fuel. You know, yeah. I guess when you buy like 100 gallons of fuel, you get a free shower or whatever. Mm-hmm. They fill up their trucks to go on. So they have all these vouchers for showers. They're like, you know, here, sit there and talk to them, you know, where you're coming from, where you're headed to, where you've been.
Well, how about the weather? How do you get, you know, there's just rains, it snows, I mean, there's storms. How do you deal with all that type of stuff?
Biggest thing I track on my phone is the weather. In 2019, I was going through Billings, Montana, and wound up hitting a supercell, and there was a tornado 5 miles from where I was. Mm-hmm. Ducked in the gas station for a little bit. Again, be friendly with them, talk with them. You know, when they tornado warnings and stuff going off everywhere. You know, once it clears up, you get the hell out of there. Mm-hmm. But there's only been one storm that I've actually closed the camper up and went inside, and that was in Oklahoma because I seriously thought that it was getting ready to have a tornado. Mm-hmm. The winds were about 60 or 70 miles an hour, and it was enough for the first time since I had the camper to actually pack it up in the middle of a rainstorm and go inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, you know, part of what you deal with, which is another reason truck stops and stuff, they're open 24 hours a day. Before COVID, most of the Walmarts are open 24 hours a day. If something really horrible happens, you duck in a Walmart. I was going through a storm in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I actually had to duck into a Walmart at like 8 o'clock in the afternoon. And the storm was so bad that the lights were flickering in Walmart.
Mm-hmm. What do you wear any special? I've heard that they got this cooling and heating clothes. Do you wear anything like that, or do you just leather or something? Or
most of the time, I wear a long sleeve shirt and a leather vest. The biggest thing with a long sleeve shirt, if you keep your arms and your hands covered, you won't get sunburned.
Mm-hmm.
80% of the time, I have like the half helmet, but I have one of those like neck gaiter things. And I wear sunglasses, keeps the sun off your face. You can still breathe. As you're sweating, it gets into your shirt with the wind going over your shirt. It's actually cooler than just riding in a short sleeve shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Wintertime, I do have quilted chaps, and I have a big, thick, like Carhartt jacket, and I have heated gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the rain, honestly, for the last 3 years, I've had a set of JP Cycles $78 rain suit.
Mm.
It's kept me dry.
Mm-hmm.
When it rains, I put on a full face helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a nice thing about pulling the trailer. I have, 3 sets of boots, the chaps, the jacket, the helmet. I'm set up for any weather. In August, when I went to Alaska, I left the house. It was 90 degrees. It was 50 degrees in Alaska. So I was set up everywhere in between weather-wise.
That trailer is definitely a good idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. If you're going to sit there and, kind of like quote unquote live off your bike, you can do like the stealth camping thing. You can do the hotel thing, or like I like is the trailer, because I don't have to sit there. Okay, is the hotel open? Do they have a room open?
Yeah.
The nice thing is, when I did my 17-day trip, I rode till I was tired. I slept till I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had
self-sustained.
Yeah.
Or, you don't need nobody. You don't need nothing. Yeah.
If I got cold, pull off at a Walmart or a truck stop or something, pull in the trailer. I got the sleeping bag and everything. I'd be warm. I went to Daytona Bike Week. It was 93 degrees at Daytona Bike Week. 2 days later, or a day and a half later, I was in Indiana and it was 18 degrees. So I actually didn't wind up getting out of the trailer till about 11 o'clock in the morning, because I was waiting for it to get above 32 degrees to start riding again.
Your bike, does it have any protection from the wind for the feet, for the hands, or anything like that? Or
when I bought it, it just had the windshield.
Mm-hmm. The stock.
Yep. The stock little windshield. I rode with it for about 2.5 years. I actually did wind up putting a USA Trailer Store fairing on it. And I do have the Kiriak and Ergo crash bars. And I have switchblades on the end of them. So they kind of fold down. Get a place for your heel and stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's really nothing for your legs, which is part of having the quilted chaps. It's just like a leather chap, but it has like a inner quilted lining in it. So that helps keep all the wind and stuff off your legs.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked those up for like $80.
Mm-hmm.
But that bat wing does make a huge difference.
What keeps you? What kind of thought process keeps you safe that many miles? Putting that many miles down.
A lot of it is I'm always looking at what's behind me. I know that sounds strange, but I want to know what's coming up behind me, especially with cars and stuff, or weather, anything. Depends on which way in the country you're going. If you're coming from west to east, if you're looking forward, you're not seeing that storm, that's creeping up behind you. going faster than you're traveling. You know, so I'm always looking at the mirrors, always seeing what's in front of me. I have my phone mounted on my handlebars, and I keep the map up. So I'm always looking, you know, is their nearest big town? You know, what's the next exit? You know, the storm pops up, you need to get off the interstate, you need some place to go, you know. So I'm always trying to sit there and figure out, you know, where can I go? In the eastern part of the US, there's a lot of underpasses and stuff. You kind of duck under it, get out of the storms. I'll ride in anything but lightning. I do not ride in lightning. Going out west, you don't have a lot of overpasses. So you have to, you know, is there a truck stop, you know, a McDonald's, a bank, you know, an old abandoned gas station, something to get, you know, in between me and the weather. And it's just that constant, you know, being aware of your surroundings.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because, you know, well, you said it might sound strange. You know what? Someone who put down that many miles, whatever you're saying is the truth. Whatever you're saying, because, you know, that's the bottom line, is you've put it down there, and, you know, whatever you have to say is is what it is.
And like I said, I know with, you know, when I was first starting out with long distance, there was a lot of, you know, talking to people, asking people. Before I did my first IBA ride, my Iron Belt ride, I spent like 4 months trying to research, you know, how people did it, you know, kind of doing the same thing you're doing, learning from the people that have done it.
Yeah.
You know, what are the mistakes and stuff I can avoid before I go out, you know, and make the same mistake that, you know, everyone else has made and go, well, that, you know, that was kind of silly to do because everyone says don't do this.
Something just popped in my head. What about did the bike ever break down the, you know, along that's a Honda for you?
The only, I guess, quote unquote issue I had was last year and the 2019 ride. I do run dark side on my bike. I actually run double dark.
You do? Okay. Yeah.
I do run double dark. I know that, you know, there's this big faux pas about it, but I'd put a new rear tire on before I left. What I hadn't anticipated when I was going through Texas, it was like 108 something degrees. Well, driving in that for 4 days, like, decimated my rear tire. So I had to stop in Oklahoma and get a new tire put on.
Wait, so that wasn't the dark side tire? That was a regular bike tire?
That was my car tire. Yeah.
Oh. So a regular bike tire, that would wear it out even much quicker.
I don't think I would have made it to Alaska on a regular bike tire.
Yeah.
Because I guess one of the downfalls when you're pulling the trailer, there's that extra weight on the rear tire.
Yeah.
It's not normally there. So I get 25,000 miles out of a car tire. If I wasn't pulling the trailer, I'd probably get, you know, 35, 40, 45,000 miles out of the tire because it doesn't have all that extra weight on it. But, you know, like I said, for me, traveling, I love traveling with my trailer because, you know, like you said, you're self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I carry all my food in it. You know, I have extra gear in there. If, you know, I get cold, I climb in it. If I get hot, I can climb in it. If I get tired, there's not, you know, oh, I got to find some place that's open. Pull into a gas station somewhere. You know, like I said, one of my favorite things is Walmart parking lots because, you know, they're always, you know, hey, if you're tired, you know, go sit in the back of the parking lot and we'll leave you alone.
And they got everything anyone ever needs.
When I wake up in the morning, you know, they were nice enough to let me stay there all night. I wake up in the morning, I go, you know, restock my drinks, restock my snacks, you know, everything I need is right there at Walmart. They get patronized.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's happy.
And Jason, it was nice to see you. And you know,
hey, and if you come out in West Virginia, give me a shout. We'll come ride with you.
Oh, that sounds good. I'm gonna, you know, I'm setting up a little map right now and how I need to go. West Virginia. All right, I'm gonna write that down. And yeah, just send me some photos, and we'll keep in touch, man. It was nice.
Not a problem, bud.
Bye bye.
We'll see you.